Release for every tension in the body. Redefine it in the mind and through the heart. Accept the embodiment of a higher frequency that would be resonance and synchronistic unfolding. Welcome to the Sovereign Light, named after my ministry. And this novel is a course in metaphysical spirituality. And my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. I'm so glad that you have joined me here today. To find a place of comfort and where you can still your mind and open your heart for lesson 150. And you can opt to have your eyes closed or open. Just find a space where you will not be pulled out of your center, and pull that magnetism of you home, and just find it and ground and breathe. Very importantly, to focus on your breathing. Very simple. That is all that is really required of you. The more you're able to breathe in deeply and comfortably, the more your light can come out, and enlightened you will feel. Your heart, light-heartedness becomes you when your heart is open and you can breathe with your lungs freely and relaxed. And the affirmations can help to take you off the other mindsets and perspectives that might be tyrannical in nature and distort your perceptions. And we're here to untwist and release. And you find when we untwist, we are able to release those blockages and energy freely. That we can replenish and create. With that said, take a few deep breaths in. And feel with each breath going in deeper and breathing out more carbon dioxide. You're not covering up, you're not tensing up, you're not stressing out. Just think of being in a bubble bath and very simply focus on this thing, this Kriya Yoga. Very simple. Back straight. Feel your spine from your tailbone all the way to it meets the back of your skull. And breathe. And open your arms out. And then back again into a prayer-like fashion. And this will help expand your breathing. And as you do this, all thoughts dissipate and fall by the wayside like droplets of rain on a duck's back. And feel free to have your eyes closed, listen in, your eyes open to all your senses. And as we continue on from excerpts, pages 477, 78, and 79, shall we begin? That's it. Just relax and say these words to reaffirm this affirmation for the day, like any other, can help to clear the mind of any other clutter and focus and filter through this as the intent for your day. Very simple. I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. Let the inner critic go, release your judgments, and feel the love and the connection to follow along and repeat these words with me. I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. And let's say it one more time. I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. The self is not about the mind's identity. Rather, it is defined by how it feels in every given moment of its life, and with no explanation needed. It does not have to prove for anything. The stories, however, and the judgments from these stories keep it in a place of reference to rely from the many that deny it, and in a place where growth ceases, evolution stops. The stale mated experiences that the ego feeds on the self through its identity has no real place of power. And just feel the disconnect and start to come back home to your connection and your power. Secured in the all-knowing predictions of certainty is yet another form to control the conditions out of its adventure. There is another way to play, and without the game's collective agreements. We can engage to play unconditionally. How does the self come out of its reflection? By being the observer. By daring to break out of its shell of rigid beliefs that have it in house arrest, that impressed upon it from the higher collective into its personal space. Yes. How is this possible? That it can see for more than one reality in the same, to choose through how it feels to attract anything it can imagine. When we stop, only when we stop breathing do we stop imagining. When we oppress our breathing, we not only get headaches, we go into forgetfulness, we go into panic, we become restricted, our light flickers and weakens, our immune system too. And inevitably, our imagination too dissipates. This is made yet for another topic, that it is possible to leave one reality for another. Yes. If you can accept within yourself that you are a creator being, in the knowing of your doing makes you responsible. Changing the perception, however, to stay open from the form that traps the many in collectively in such agreements to enslave. This is the enlightenment that the oneness aspires to ascend, and as sovereign in itself, to individuate into the evolved pristineness that is Creator Self. And just remember, we're all in this together. One day we're in a trance-like state, and not as enlightened, and perhaps down into the soul, dark night of the soul, finding our way, perhaps feeling lost. And at other times, we have our light come back to us, our consciousness. It is there. It doesn't go away. It just might be somewhere else in that moment, and you're somewhere else, you see? And so when you're not looking, a lot can happen. So I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. The oneness in this way is now complete unto itself to feel inspired by the many rather than reflect of them. To realize that reflection is a deflection needing for integration from its shadows and soul growth is where the paradox can start to be more meaningful. To see the world from every side and have for none attachment to its many stories. So see it for what it is and what is taking place. And we all know this. We're all preaching to the choir about, be of the world but not of it. This is the old paradigm cliche. And what next? There is a what next, and then a what next. And if it hasn't been pre-told or foretold or quoted or by someone else, then it's time to create your own quotes, your own memes, your own stories that you wish to tell. uh, how do we do that when we're bombarded? It's like anything else. We have to release in order to be able to. It's like unpacking and packing. Well, you want to pack for the next vacation. So to see the world from every side and have for non-attachment to its many stories. Staying open in this way to have many movies playing in the moment at Cineplex. And wandering the mind to choose which one to play in for the experience and not become trapped by it. I often had dreams. I was transcribing. This novel. I'm like going back right now because it's something I need to do. Because when you're transcribing things, it's like channeling. You're not really, now I can be the critic and start going through this like this and then fixing it up how it needs to be fixed or whatever. Nothing really needs fixing because everything is a lesson. Everything is to learn, and it's soul and consciousness, soul and spirit, spirit and soul. What does that mean? Master and student, student and master, the both, you know, live to grow with each other. So it's a work in progress. There is no final destination. It's beautiful. And when we can accept that everything happens the way it was meant to for this experience. This experience is the food of the soul and the enlightenment to see it. The conundrum is the at oneness with the self to atone and with the many of its world in this way as failsafe to measure with. So we have this, but we use it in a competitive kind of take down each other instead of build each other up. So we have it. It's just that we're doing it backwards. We're trying to tear each other down and out, and so that we can kind of step over each other like crabs in a bucket. And it's like, okay, how is it that we can all step out of that bucket and work together? You see, without having to step all over each other and compete with each other in a way that is tearing each other down and putting each other down so that we can feel better about ourselves. Is this crazy? And it is. This world requires a lot of healing. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of anguish. There's a lot of traumas that need to be dealt with, processed through, like any other grief. And grief is a cluster of emotions that when they rise to the surface. And we just gotta kind of, we just gotta just let it happen, and then it recedes back again until it's like karma, it keeps coming and then going again until we are able to take that lesson from it, whatever it was we needed to gain, and remove and transmute from that place. And so as we continue on, this was one of many times. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this in their lucid dreaming, and I can explain. I think I have before, and this book does too, somewhere along the line, of how to practice lucid dreaming. There's a practice. There's a few lessons in this book that does offer this, if you can see it for what it is. And for example, setting a timer. Yes, there's a 2 days lesson on this in this book, on teaching you just the very basics of how to start on lucid dreaming. And when you lucid dream, you can remember your dreams, especially when they're emotionally enhanced in a way where they have some kind of magnetism to them, in a sense that they're very vivid, they're very real, and they happen so fast. And this was one of them. This comes directly from the soul. And I transcribed it on here. Staying open in this way to have many movies playing in the moment at a Cineplex, wondering the mind to choose which one to play in for the experience and not become trapped by it. Do you remember? I mean, it's still, I don't know if it's still happening, or the Cineplexes or movie theaters, how popular they are. But, it used to be a $2 Tuesday or something. And you used to go and you used to pay for one movie. Meanwhile, there was other movies playing. And you can just, like you're going to the washroom, and go and step into another theater and watch that movie. And then step into the other theater until you get what movie you actually really like to see. Oh, but yes, so many times I can recall this kind of situation of finding myself in this Cineplex. It actually would say Cineplex. And so, and I could see myself going into the concessionary stand or whatever, the food, the popcorn, and the pizza, and I'm like there, and it's like I can remember that. And so I used this and put it in this book here, and we off to the next paragraph. The indicator of self-expansion, to contract into many small versions and forever more continue to play within the vastness of the self perspective. Am I being recorded? Or did it stop? Oh, it's still recording. By refusing to accept any given moment without fully allowing it to play out, how will the self know what it does prefer? The emotional attachment will create a repeat, and is best to be in observer mode to learn from. Only acceptance be asked of self for what it is certain, when it knows its preferences to define it with. So I was channeling through my higher self when I was transcribing this for you all here. And for those who might not get it, or, I'm like going through it now and it's like, oh, so, bear with me here. And, right. So, to believe the contradiction is not in the asking of what it must be, and rather not to believe in the reinforced programs infiltrated by the masses' standard quo. The thoughts of the collective agreement are not thyself and must be laid aside in the light that is holy to atone into the oneness of all moments. So I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments that is this field. I breathe in and out all my systems to be online and coexisting in this kingdom as one. Accept the oneness and the personal truth that is the self to bask in the sovereign light, and with all that is love here and now. The experience of being created in the likeness of self-awareness can be left for the collective agreement to differ from the personal one to self, and thus contradict for the purpose of expansion and self-liberation. This is how war is created. No, this is my God. No, this is my God. This is my image of God. But is it really from your imagination, or was it from a previous genetic imprint? And how does it feel for you, this image? And is it not an archetype that you carry psychologically in some way, of a figure or of something you aspire to become and learn from, and on to the next until there's nothing, and then you become lost within your soul, having to recreate or create something that's never been created before? That's your imagination. Your higher self connection to dance with the infinite expressingly. Expressing divinely, the divine expression of the infinite that is you. And from that word, that logos, that all was created, and the word and all words, they cast spells. This is how we learn to spell. And so check with the self throughout the day to feel how much separation and why it is this way. Catch the story and let it go. So leverage throughout the day how much of a distance you are from yourself, from feeling home with yourself. And what is it that's keeping you in that level of separation? What story are you telling yourself? Or what story are others telling you that you cannot do or be in this, or how dare you, and disrespect you, because obviously they tell you that they love you, but they have no respect for themselves, even to even know how to offer respect back. And so this is the level of corruption that needs to untwist. Did I mention this before in here, or was it the previous video, the untwisting? And so start with 5 minutes or so. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 minutes, but at your level of comfort, because now that time has collapsed, it's only a marker to indicate. It does not have to be in that kind of stress or strenuous 5 minutes. It's at the level that you feel you've accomplished this task. And in the morning and at night, and intervals of breaks throughout the day, or whenever you feel, because you might not even be waking up in the morning, you might be waking up in the afternoon. So this is just something like a marker to help you with. Okay. It's setting some kind of linear thing to help you work through this, and repeat the following affirmations. And these are backup statements, or a backup statement, or create your own. Modify. Learn to modify things, because when you show them out, and let's say a quote or what somebody else said or something like that, are you really a him, or is it really reflecting you, or of what you're promoting? Just really have a look at what it is that you are promoting. And is it really something that is you? If not, change it, morph it to be more representing of you when you show these things to the public. You see, otherwise it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, and people will just like you or whatever, and show you the likes or whatever, just because they like you, but not what it is that you are saying or what you're promoting. And they're not going to give you a shake and say, why are you saying these things? As a matter of fact, a lot of people will fall into it and follow too in suit, and not know why they're doing it. And it's creating a mess. It creates a clutter. And so we want to clear the mess globally on that level. And so when we do it for ourselves, we do it for the world, and others will follow suit. Simply because they might not like the message, but they like the messenger. That always works. They might not like the messenger, so chances are they won't even, no matter how good the message is, they have some kind of stigma or some kind of judgment that will not let them see it for what it is. It will blind them. And so, who is them? Them is you. Them is me. We're all in this together. So we can't just totally go and ascend to the master level or whatever it is and expect to be with everybody. It's like a hand in hand. We're holding each other's hands. So if one makes it to a certain level, they can only go to a certain level, but they have to bring us too, right? So we kind of have to, it's a mass awakening. And so this is otherwise, what are we doing? And if so, then we go into a reality where we can be with those who are like-minded, but then nothing is really enforced in a way that, well, we can't. This is where we are right now, the old world. So, and we are collectively agreeing to step out of that world at at what level right now is we're not all at the same level. So this thing about equality, watch out. Watch out. That's just watch out. It's an omen when somebody says equality and we're doing this for equality. Just watch out. So let's begin. I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. I am one with OVERSOUL and learning from the multiverse as higher self. That is me. So this thing about multiverse, oh my gosh. Someone actually even commented it on me saying, there is no such thing as a multiverse. It's not scientifically proven. So I'll let you do the discerning and test out your leveraging abilities as alchemists. Ooh, how did that word hit you? How do you feel when someone calls you master or alchemist? How does it feel when somebody calls you a creator? How does it feel when you call yourself out? So these words, have they corrupted you? Are they corrupted? Or is it a way that you can, through these words, find your way and see at what level you're operating from and where you need to clear and what you need to clear and what you need to let go of? Simply, very simple, just by that. So the purpose is to check in with the self and to catch it before the fall that splits off and drains it into the abyss and from all the stresses of its day. To have control over the nervous system, because the nervous system is your internet, is the internet. It is a deeper connection with impulse rather than to think of it as controlling over its reactions. And I will leave you today with these words. Come on, you can do it. Repeat them after me and really feel them and how they make you feel. Believe in them, think of them, let them sink in, and perceive through this perspective throughout your day. And if you can't, what is triggering? What needs for you to, okay, the inner critic. What are you judging? What are you not ready to accept? What are you seeing in me that's coming out to you that you find offensive and not allowing yourself to accept? I release myself from the stories of the past to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments. I am one with OVERSOUL and learning from the multiverse as higher self. That is me. I release myself from the stories of the past, to redefine into this moment from the oneness of all moments